Oh, man. Jalen Williams, 5 shots. Oh, let's jump into this.
This is happening in Auburn, Alabama. We're a football school, but we're also an everything school.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, our Henry Service Company post-game show. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and you can call our friends at Henry's at 334-288-2700 for any of your HVAC, electrical, plumbing needs. They have you covered. Auburn losing to Texas A&M 79-63. Somehow feeling worse than that. Somehow. And I mean, Texas A&M caught fire. We saw this the last time Auburn played the Aggies. They just were hot, and they had a hard time missing ever. From three, they shot 36.8% from three. They shot 47% from the floor. And you just look at what Auburn did. They shot 18% from three, which is not just not very good. And look, we've seen this team win in those type of situations, but we haven't seen them play that poorly against a good team, right? I think the only team on the schedule so far that was in the same tier as Texas A&M, I think it's kind of been two, because Auburn hasn't really had a tough schedule, is Arkansas when they're at home. And I think Texas A&M is better than Arkansas. Arkansas is not the team that we thought they would be. They're missing their key guy there. And I guess Northwestern, maybe, and you can discount that if you want. But, I mean, we saw how poorly Auburn played in that Northwestern game. But to me, my biggest question of all of this, and we'll talk about officiating. I see a lot of you guys in the live chat to talk about officiating, and that's cool. I think I'm going to disagree with y'all a little bit on that. We will certainly talk about it. But my biggest issue is, like, there's a million things that went wrong for Auburn. But the thing I have the biggest problem with, it was in Auburn's court. Auburn controlled it. Why is Jalen Williams shooting the ball only 5 times? It doesn't make any sense to me. In a season where we've seen Auburn's guards just kind of essentially hog the ball and shoot it at will, that didn't really happen tonight. Wendell shot at 9, which is normal. That's less than normal, actually. Janai shot at 12 times, which it seems like some nights the game plan is to run the offense through Janai Broome, which I have no problem with. Zepp only shot at 4 times. KD only shot at 6 times. Allen shot at 10 times. That seems a little bit higher than normal. But Jalen Williams, he was 2 of 3 for like a big chunk of the second half. And it's like, why is he not shooting the ball more? He wasn't in foul trouble. He had 2 fouls for the entire game. And he played in 28 minutes across the contest. Jalen Williams, I don't get it. He's such a team first minded guy. But like, Jalen, if you want Auburn to be a top 3 SEC team, you have to shoot the ball more than 5 times. Auburn is better when Jalen Williams is scoring. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. I mean, that's just it. Jesse pointing out that Flanagan took more than bad shots. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think we've kind of seen that from Allen over the past few games. Shooting at 10 times, scoring 8, like it's not good, right? I'm not defending Allen Flanagan, but like, is that why we lost? I don't know if I'm buying that, but sure, totally, Jesse. I'm with you on that. Wish he'd step up more, actually, Jalen. Gump Brave says this. Yeah, I don't get it. I think when Auburn is at its best, when Jalen Williams is playing his best basketball and a scoring threat. And like, I don't think the guard play was awful. And like, I know David Jones is saying KD was awful. And like, I'm not disagreeing with you. Like, I don't get why KD gets all the minutes that he does. 18 minutes seems too high. He shot it 6 times. Like, that's probably 3 more than it should be, especially when Jalen's shooting at 5. But yeah, I mean, did anything out of the ordinary happen for the guards? Wendell scored 16 on 10 shots. I'm fine with that. Zepp scored 6 points on 4 shots. I'm cool with that. He made 2 of his 4 threes. I don't love that all of Zepp's shots were threes, but that is what it is. And KD went 2 of 6 for 5 points. Like, none of that's out of the ordinary. It's all the other stuff that's just like, it didn't work. It didn't work. And then defensively, like, I know people in the Locked On Auburn Discord were like, oh my gosh, Leo Berman's like such a defensive liability. I'm like, I think Texas A&M was just making everything. Let's see here. Yep, everybody agreeing about Jalen Williams. There's no question about it. Jack saying Bruce Pearl seems to get thoroughly outcoached anytime we play a small ball team. I don't know if I entirely agree with that. I think this year has been Bruce Pearl's like best job coaching on court that we've seen in a minute, probably since the Final Four team. But I mean, look, Texas A&M has had our number. Coming into tonight, they were 2 of 6 since they entered the league in 2012 in Auburn. So now I guess they're, or I'm sorry, 6-2. So now I guess they're 7-2 in Neville Arena since they joined the SEC. That's wild, especially with how hard it's been for visiting teams to win there. Yeah, a lot of people talking about Jalen passing up shots. I'm with you. It didn't make any sense to me. And I don't know. Whenever I talk to Zepp, and Zepp will be on Locked On Auburn on Friday. I'm going to record a conversation with him on Thursday. But the big thing I always ask him is like, how often does shot selection come up in practice and in team meetings? And he's like, dude, it doesn't. It doesn't. I've asked him that both on air and off air just to see if he'd give me a different answer, and he hasn't. And so I don't know. Like, I don't think that's something that they really discuss when they're doing their timeout thing. I don't think Bruce is looking at Jalen saying, like, you need to shoot more. It's just weird. It's just totally, totally weird. I don't get it. I don't get the strategy behind it. I don't get why Jalen Williams isn't shooting more. Folks asking where Daryl is. Daryl took his daughter to the game, and I hope they had a good time, all things considering. Jesse says Bruce Pearl's biggest strength as a coach has always been motivating his players. He's never been a great game manager guy or a strategy guy. I think Bruce as an on-court coach is, I think people just assume since he's so good at being a hype man and a motivator and a program builder that he's not good at other things. And like, I just don't think, I don't know if I fully buy that, but tonight wasn't good, right? I mean, he got out-coached tonight, but also like he was playing against a team that just, there was like a 12-minute span of game time. The end of the first half and the start of the second half were like Texas A&M, like they could have been blindfolded, standing at half court, looking the other way, and like just throwing it up, and it would have gone in. Like, that's basketball. That's basketball. And like, I get the frustration of all this, but this Auburn team can still be a top 4 team in the SEC. Does it get significantly tougher after tonight? Yes, because the schedule gets way harder. We'll talk about the schedule in a second, but you had a home and home with Texas A&M coming up. You had a home and home with Tennessee. You have a home and home with Alabama. You need to win your home games. And this, tonight's game was extremely winnable. And it just didn't happen. Oregon, Wyoming saying DAP goes to a game and we lose. Yeah, I guess so. Cam asked, should Zepp play 1 when Wendell goes out? Yeah, Zepp's not a 2. He's not a 2. Yeah, I think he should. I don't think Trey Donaldson's really offering a whole lot right now. I thought he would be offering more at this point of his freshman year, especially with what we saw early in the season in the non-conference action. But we're not seeing that. And I think that has to do more with us not having a 2, not having shooting guards, than it does Zepp like being best playing the 2 or being a 1 instead of a 2. I think it's more about just that's the way the roster is. Sadly, YouTube user asked, where was Trayor? I mean, where is his freshman class? Where's his freshman class been for the past month? Other than like we see Trey Donaldson for like 7 minutes a game. And that's kind of it. Yeah, he played 7 minutes tonight. That's about right. Nothing really stood out to me tonight other than like, why did Jalen Williams only shoot it 5 times? I just can't, guys. I can't get over that. Jack saying, don't understand why BP didn't just put Zepp on Radford the entire game. He didn't do anything anytime he was guarded by Zepp. Yeah, I mean, Zepp is a defensive freak. There's no question about it. That's definitely the strength of his game. Tyrese Radford tonight for A&M. 8 of 17 shooting, scored 30 points. The more impressive thing is he got to the free throw line 12 times. I mean, we didn't have an answer for him. For anything. Jalen had 7 assists and 0 turnovers. I just got like, let's think back to what happened. What was the first thing that Bruce Pearl said after Auburn lost to Miami in the NCAA tournament last year? It's like, we got to build the team around Jalen. Now at the time, and we did a reaction show on this on Locked on Auburn, we're like, okay, he's just recruiting Jalen to come back. Jalen, don't enter the portal. And obviously he didn't. But it's like, was that not discussed? Did you really just say that to recruit him? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why we don't use Jalen more every single night. I have no issue with it. Wes says Wendell played selfishly tonight. I think Wendell played his game tonight. Wendell had 5 assists to 4 turnovers. Like, that's a better ratio than it has been at times this year. And he shot the ball 10 times and scored 16 points. Like, I actually had moments, Wes, where when I was watching in the second half, and there was a few times where Auburn got within 8. And it's like, okay, are they about to do this? Because you kind of felt it. I did anyway. Let me know if y'all did. I really thought Auburn was going to come back. I don't know if they were going to win, but I thought they were going to come back. I thought it was going to be a 3 or 4 point game when it's all said and done. Obviously, that was not the case, but I thought it was going to be closer. I thought it was going to be a 3 or 4 point game, whether Auburn's favor, A&M's favor, I don't know. But I forgot where I was going with all that. Oh, but yeah, like when there were times in all that where I'm like, okay, who's going to be the guy? Like, who do I want to have the basketball? And the answer every time was either Jalen or Wendell. And so I don't know. I've kind of been hard on Wendell this year. And I think I don't think that was entirely fair. So we'll see. Tanner asking, can we take the keys from Wendell pulling up from the logo yet? Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm actually cool with anything that restricts our guards from shooting as many threes as they currently are. Like KD shot, how many? 2, I think. Yeah, KD shot 2 threes. Like, KD doesn't need to be shooting 2 threes. He just doesn't need to. And that type of game where every possession is so important for clawing back, KD doesn't need to be shooting 2 threes. That's just not it. Lee Bands ask, who carries this team moving forward if not Jalen? I think it's Wendell or Janai. But tonight's matchup was tough down low for Janai Broome. I mean, this A&M squad, like, this A&M team is good. They're a good basketball team. And I was actually ready for Auburn to win. Everybody like start dissing A&M. Like, I was ready for that. I'm like, no, A&M's good. Like, A&M's a good basketball team. Now they may be saying the same thing maybe saying that about us. We'll have to see. But I just, guys, this was a tough one. This was a tough one to watch. Let's see. Chris Moore, 12 minutes, 1 rebound, 1 turnover, 1 foul. Yeah, somebody else asked, like, did we rush Chris Moore's return? Maybe, but like, I don't know. Is Chris Moore why we lost? There was only one time where I didn't like a play that involved Chris Moore. And like, it also could have been Wendell's fault. Moore was open and he was running towards the basket. and Wendell like threw it behind him. I don't think Wendell was anticipating him making a break for the basket, but like that was 2 points. That should have been 2 points. But that was really the only time where I noticed or thought like, oh my gosh, Chris Moore, what are you what are you doing? It's tough. I mean, tonight was not good. Tonight was not good for the season as far as standings. But as far as like Auburn, the team, like we knew that this would be an option, right? Like we knew that there would be times where they would look like the first 2 minutes of the game where they scored like 10 points in like 20 seconds. We know that the team's capable of that. We also know that this team's capable of what we saw at USC, what we saw in Athens, and sadly, what we saw tonight. It just looked different because it was in Neville, and we saw a historic streak break. Texas A&M Aggies, more like agony, right? Right? Well, that's what it is when you watch tonight's game, but also agony is what you feel whenever anything involving HVAC or electrical or plumbing goes south. And so you need to call our friends at the Henry Service Company to help take care of that. If you're in the Montgomery Tri-County area, you need to call our friends at 334-288-2700. Alabama license number 00021. Doesn't matter what time of day. Doesn't matter if it's a commercial situation or a residential situation. Be sure to give them love. And Clay, the owner, helped me come up with that terrible pun. So be mad at him. Be mad at him. Not me. I'm just kidding. No, give him a call. 334-288-2700. Alabama license number 00021. More from our friends at Henry's in a bit. Okay. Let's discuss what this team looks like moving forward. And then y'all load up with questions. I'll come back to the questions in just a second. My voice is gone from yelling at the TV. I'm sorry. All right. So they head to West Virginia. It's part of the SEC Big 12 Challenge. We'll see how that goes. We originally thought that would be a potential quad 1 win situation. Does not seem to be that anymore. They've lost like, I think 6 of their last 8. They've lost a lot lately. So that's certainly winnable. Georgia in Neville Arena. That certainly seems winnable. But then you go to Knoxville and you go to College Station and then you host Alabama. And then you host Missouri. Like, it just gets tougher from here, guys. It just gets tougher from here. Then you get a little bit of a lull of winnable games, like Missouri at home. You're at Vandy. You host Ole Miss. Like, those are all winnable. But then you go to Lexington. You go to Tuscaloosa. And then you host Tennessee. And so it's just... Tonight was big because of the rest of the schedule is, like, brutal. And you need as many SEC wins as you could possibly get. And Auburn is sitting here right now with 6. And they got to find a way to get to, 13? Get to 13 SEC wins. And so it's like, all right, Georgia at home is 7. I don't feel good about going to Knoxville. I don't feel good about going to College Station now. Even though, like, is A&M going to sweep us? I don't know. Alabama... I mean, look, basketball's weird. You know, I mean, Auburn can certainly win that game. We'll see. I feel good about Missouri at home. I feel good about, going to Vandy, hosting Ole Miss. And then I don't think Tennessee sweeps us. So I'll give us that Tennessee, the finale where we host Tennessee. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets us to 11. I don't know where the other 2 are. If we're talking about like, a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament, and then, maybe a 5 seed or something like that in the NCAA tournament, like it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. All right, back to questions. Kenneth says, our seniors are inconsistent, and it's sad they haven't gotten any better in 4 years. Yeah. I mean, they are inconsistent for sure. To say Jalen Williams hasn't gotten better, I don't know about that. And then like Allen from last year to this year, I think he's significantly better. I mean, he messed up his Achilles. That's not the Auburn coaching staff's fault. Wes asked, which environment do you believe is tougher, Knoxville or Tuscaloosa? Just strictly environment, Knoxville. But I mean, Alabama's the much better team this year. War Eagle Wyoming says, are we required to play in the SEC tournament? Why wouldn't we want to play in the SEC tournament? I'm missing something there. Doug says Westery is transferring, right? I hope not. I doubt it. I think he's important for next year's team. I certainly hope that doesn't happen. I don't think that really makes sense for him to. So, I don't know. I think he'd be really good here. Play next to Aiden Holloway, I think that's going to make him better. I don't know why you would leave and run away from that. Eisen says, why did he take out Lior? They were on a roll and playing with each other / benefiting on defense. Lior Berman played in 10 minutes. Seemed like he played more than that, but played in 10 minutes. He shot the ball twice. He made one of his shots, a long two. It was very nice. Good move. Why did he take him out? I mean, Chris Moore is better than Lior Berman. But we talked about this before, right? We talked about this before with, Chris Moore is out, and Chris Moore is, a top 4 player on this team. But it's they are almost playing better without him there. I'm certainly saying I'm not saying don't play Chris Moore, but I do wonder if chemistry plays a factor in all of that. Our guards got to help rebound. Some expect Broom to get every rebound. Bruce Pearl guards are usually pretty decent at rebounding, despite their size. So Wendell got 1, Zepp got 1, and KD got 3. So that's probably a little lower than normal, but it's a lower scoring game too. Tanner says Aiden Holloway in the house tonight. Not a good look. Why not? If anything, he's probably excited to come in and help and fix it. Let's see. Wes saying, I think it's better that we struggle now and figure out ourselves later in the Final Four run rather than something like last year. I mean, in theory, but there is a chance we never figure it out. And we need to start figuring it out soon. A few people were talking about this. I don't know if it was on Discord or if it was on Twitter. And please, I'm not comparing this to the Final Four year. I'm not doing that. But just remember, basketball, we are so football minded when we talk about college basketball from an Auburn point of view. We just are. But that year, Kentucky killed us. I remember doing a post-game show for the radio station I was working at the time. And it's that was tough. That was the least fun show I've ever done, ever. And then 2 months later, they're about to win a championship. So let's just let's hold off. Let's hold off on, anything drastically crazy. I think everything that happened tonight, I don't think it should surprise anyone. I think it should bum you out and maybe be frustrated. But we all knew that nights like this were an option. I think we expected it to be more likely to happen on the road than at home. And it stinks because this was the first home game where we got to celebrate a little bit of, the streak and holding the longest active home winning streak in college basketball. That stinks that we didn't get to have that. But it's fine. There's so many college basketball games. We all said this. Remember how we were talking after the Georgia game? Then we started playing good again. So just hold on. Let's pump the brakes. And Jalen Williams, shoot it twice as much as you did tonight. That's all I ask. Jesse saying they beat us. Kentucky beat us by 30 in late February. And then that's when Auburn just turned it on. So, oh, man. All right. So as far as just moving forward, I'm curious to see what Chris Moore looks like as he gets healthy. I'm curious to see what this team looks like on the road. Weird situation going up to West Virginia, to Morgantown. And that game's at 11 o'clock Central Time. It's at noon, where they're playing in Eastern Time, but it's 11 o'clock game. We'll see what happens with all of that. But hey, this is a good point. US out says with the Phoenix City profile picture. There we go. Says this could definitely take pressure off the team from a home games perspective. Yes. Yeah. So I went on radio in Montgomery today with Doug Amos on the Max Roundtable, and we talked about that February 11th matchup when Auburn hosts Alabama. And it's like, man, what if, you got Alabama that's, one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in college basketball. And then they come in to try to like knock off Auburn off of that streak. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that would be awful. Like if they were the ones to do it. So, but I was like, man, that'd be a great storyline. Maybe it attracts College Game Day to come to town and things like that. So does it possibly take off pressure? Maybe. I hope they're not thinking about that a ton, but like, how could you not, right? Did Chris Moore even record a statistic? We just went over that, I think. I forgot. He recorded a rebound and a foul and a turnover. So he's got a few there. Not exactly the stat line you'd like to see, but he did record a few. War Eagle Wyoming says more likely to sweep. Oh, most likely to sweep us. A&M, Bama, or UT, or all three. Well, the fact A&M's halfway there, and they did it in Neville. So that's not looking super great. And then I would probably say Bama is still the most likely. And then Tennessee, after tonight, is probably the least likely just because we haven't played them yet. Wes says Morgantown is not an easy place to play. Other teams that have played them haven't had any trouble this year, but it's a different situation. SEC Big 12 Challenge is always a little interesting. Auburn has actually done decent in this thing, with the exception where they played Baylor one year, the year they won the Natty. But other than that, like they've done well. I think they beat an Oklahoma team one year that like they weren't supposed to, and maybe it was like TCU. We beat a TCU team one year where they were better than us. Joshua White asking, did TAMU get us out of position, or do we just have a bad defensive game? I think A&M just made everything. I mean, there were several threes where like Leo Berman was on his guy, or Alan Flanagan was on his guy, and the threes went in. Teams have nights like that. I mean, we've seen that from the Auburn perspective, where it doesn't matter how well you're guarded. Heck, we saw it in the first 10 minutes of the game. I mean, there was a guy on Zepp, and Zepp still made it. There was a guy in front of Wendell, and Wendell still made it. I just think it was one of those nights, and we see that in college basketball. And we've been on the fun side of it, and obviously we've been on the bummer side of it, and we were on the bummer side of it tonight. I think that's all it is. Like, let me in the live chat right now. Am I too whatever about this game? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Am I too? Should I be more critical of what we saw tonight? I'm just kind of brushing it off, and I just think this is college basketball, and we've talked about this before in this SEC. The year in the SEC, like there's a ton of parity after Alabama. Like there's just a ton of parity, and we got hit by it. We got hit by it because I don't think there's like 4 elite teams. I think there's 5. I think there's 1 elite team, and I think there's 4 solid teams, and I think those 4 solid teams are fighting for the 2, 3, and 4 seed in the SEC tournament. And I think it's us. I think it's Tennessee. I think it's Kentucky. I think it's Texas A&M. I think that's it, because Missouri's out of it. Arkansas's out of it. Like I don't believe in either of those teams anymore. Yeah, a lot of people are agreeing. Tanner's saying I'm booging. Yep, multiple people saying I'm booging, which is cool. That's fine. We're all about booging. So I think we're about to wrap it up. If I got any more questions, hit me up. We'll go for another few minutes here. I want to see, we put up some takeaways at auburndaily.com. I want to see if they said anything that I didn't pick up on. Maybe not. Yep, here it is. Let's see. Big athletic teams have been a problem for sure. I mean, that's always been a Bruce Pearl thing. Like we saw that with Florida last year. Auburn's success was zone defense. SEC officiating is really bad. Oh, we haven't talked about officiating. Yet. So everybody's complaining about it. And I think officiating can be bad and even at the same time. Let's see. The fouls were even. It was 18-18 when it was all said and done. Now, was it consistent? No, it was not consistent at all, but it was even. I think it was evenly inconsistent. It's like, I just don't think that's why we lost. I think A&M got really, really hot. And whenever we were in striking distance, we would do something stupid. Wendell would just trip or drop the ball, or Janai would just fall down. Whenever we had any kind of part of a momentum. So Jeff saying, Zach, man, my voice is almost gone, guys. I apologize. Jeff saying, Zach, I have been saying I am not surprised because we struggle with these guys in bully ball. Yeah, Buzz Williams, the Texas A&M head coach, he has given us problems. I mean, we saw it last year. We saw it in the SEC tournament game. We were way better than them, right? Like we had two first-round draft picks on that team, and it's just like they just kind of beat the crap out of you, and they're good at it. They're really good at it. Make you look like you're playing in a swamp. So everything slows down. They talked about it on the broadcast about how like A&M hasn't allowed a team to score over 30 points in the first half, and I don't think we did we? No, we scored exactly 30. Yeah, so that's still staying true. That's still staying true. Devin saying, I didn't think officiating decided the game. I agree with you. Thomas saying, how many teams get in the big dance out of the SEC in your opinion? In Lenardi's latest bracketology, he's gone back and forth between 6 and 7. There's been a few times where he didn't have Kentucky. I assume he'll have Kentucky in it again. Mississippi State was in it and they're out. So probably 6. I'll say 6 right now. All right, cool. I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much to Henry Service Company for sponsoring this show. He has a little bit different flow because Dap wasn't here. So everybody blame him. Everybody blame Dap for tonight. No, I'm just joking. The Henry Service postgame show. Give him a call, seriously. For any of your HVAC or plumbing or electrical needs, they have you covered. And look, they treat you like people. That's why they're so great to deal with. They understand like how important it is to you. A lot of times you'll call a place and they'll just be like, yeah, whatever. You can tell it's like, oh, it's not their problem. Henry Service Company, they realize how important it is to your family. So give them a call one more time, 334-288-2700, Alabama license number 00021. So good to talk to all of you very late on this Wednesday, and we will be back Saturday. That game's at 11 Central, so we'll probably go live a little after 1, hopefully discussing an Auburn win over West Virginia. Until then, you can find all my written work at auburndaily.com. This has been the Henry Service Co. post-game show. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.